Okay, in this video, I'm going to go through how to set up the earnings layout that could be useful during earnings season from scratch. So we're going to get started with the templates we're actually going to need for this in total are these 4 templates. And the first one that I want to run is the trade simulation batch run template. So what I'm going to do here is all I'm going to choose is my CBOE weeklies list. You could run this on your entire list, but I'm just going to show you it using the CBOE weeklies. I'm going to run a trade simulation, and I'm going to choose the file to run. So this is a simulation that I want to run, and I'm going to choose to run the earnings CBE to CAE simulation. And I'm going to change the output folder of this, just so that I know by folder name where this simulation report is going to be. I'm just going to call it earnings. And press enter. And I'm going to choose not to override dates, so 0 here. And so it's going to use the entire data in this symbol list, which, let me just show what I have in here. I have 10 years of data. You could have more or less data. That is up to you, but I'm choosing to have 10 years of data for this simulation. And I'm just going to hit run after doing that. Okay, so now the simulation has run and it's generated a summary report of the simulation. This is just informational, but it does tell me where the trade simulation report file is. And I can go and look at that trade simulation report file if I want to, but I'm not going to in this case. I don't need to. I will show where it's put on the file system. Let's just open up the file system. We'll go into the Documents, EdgeRater Reports. And remember, for this template, I said I wanted it to put the results in an earnings folder. And so under earnings, it's got this summary report, which is here, and then the actual trade simulation. That's the important one that we're going to use for the next step. So that is in there. I could open that up in Excel if I wanted to, or I could open it up in EdgeRater. But for now, I'm just going to leave it where it is and do nothing with it. And go back over to templates. And I'm going to choose a multi-factor trade analysis because I want to run a multi-factor analysis on that set of data using the quarter and the symbol. So the way I do that is I first of all select that report. So I'm choosing files. So opening up Documents, EdgeRater Reports, Earnings, and I'm going to choose the trade simulation file, earnings CBE to CAE. Okay. Next, I'm going to choose a tag layout file, and I'm going to choose the tag layout file called symbol and quarter. And in this file, I'm going to make it, before I run this template, I'm going to make a couple of changes, or one change, on this front page of this template. I'm going to choose for quarter, I'm going to put a 1 in this cell here. And then for tag combo 2, I'm actually going to right click and choose to delete the cells and delete the entire row. And so before I run this template, this is how it looks. Okay, I've got my trade simulation file selected up here containing the earnings trades. I've got this tag layout chosen containing symbol and the quarter. And then from those tags, I want to combine them in a way such that tag combo 1 is symbol combined with quarter. And I'm going to run that. Okay, so that took about 7 minutes to run on my computer. So it takes a while to produce this report, but it's something that you would do once every earnings season. Okay, so now we have this Monte Carlo results summary report, and by default, it is placed into the reports folder. And it's given a name which you probably won't recognize. It's called Profit Boost Template, and then a time.xlsx. And that's just because the multi-factor trade analysis template used to be called the Profit Boost template, and it still outputs that file name. So something to be aware of. But what you can do, and what I like to do here, is take that and just drag it into the earnings folder, just so I know where that is. And I also like to rename it. So it's in this folder now, in the earnings folder, and I'm just going to rename it to MF, multi-factor, earnings. And so a clear name, I know where it is, I know what it's called, and that will be useful. Okay, so now on a daily basis, you do that step once per earnings season, as I said. And now what you can do is on a daily basis, you might run your earnings moves, close before earnings to close after. Again, running on the CBOE weeklies list. So now we have those earnings. We can see earnings that have occurred where we don't have any chance to trade. The bars prior equals 0. Then we have the bars prior 1, where there's 1 trading day left. So you might pick something in here. For instance, well, first of all, let me arrange this view the way that I would like to see it. What I'll do is I will take this report and I will just close this down, and then because that was the old one in the old location, what I'll do is I'll open up the earnings, MF_earnings. Just the name here is something I recognize, so MF_earnings. And I'll place this in the lower area. Okay, so now when I'm looking through the list of stocks that have earnings coming up today or tomorrow, it will then select that same stock over here. But what I should do down in the Monte Carlo results summary is sort this by symbol. And you can sort it ascending or descending, doesn't really matter. So now when I select a cell up here, you'll see all of these, all of the quarters, in fact, for whatever stock you've selected should be all together. Now, because we're currently in Q3, I will only choose to look at, so I'll filter out everything except for Q3. And so now, as I scroll through these list of current earnings that are happening today or tomorrow, immediately I can see what the history is of earnings in Q3 for that stock, just by looking in the row of the report below. So amber, I can see there were 9 prior Q3s, and 44% of those had positive earnings. The average return is 0.62. So yeah, it's roughly 50-50 and a very small return. Not so interesting. AMC has 67% positive returns with a 4.54 average. So yeah, I'll just go down through the list. Of course, I shouldn't have looked at AMC because AMC doesn't have earnings until November. What I should be doing is scrolling down through this list of things that have earnings coming up tomorrow, and just making sure, taking a look in the lower area when I select it in the upper area. So that's how you can see. So CrowdStrike, for instance, has earnings 8:30 after the market. So that's actually today. Market closes in about an hour. CrowdStrike has earnings after the market, and I can see immediately down here for the Q3 that 75% of those earnings in Q3, and there have only been 4 of them, so 4 Q3s that are available in the data for earnings, 75% of those have been negative, and an average return of negative 2.67%. Now, if it was something that was interesting to take a trade on, because you had a strong feeling about the earnings, it would be useful to go and see each of those trades, each of those 4 prior Q3s. And so a good way to do that, easy way to do that, is make sure you have the selection down in the multi-factor trade analysis on CrowdStrike. It doesn't, yeah, just make sure you have it on CrowdStrike. Go up and click Open Linked Document. And that is going to open up the actual trade simulation, the entire trade simulation file that we previously had generated. This time it's got the symbol and the tags are there, the symbol and the quarter. And so I can do the same here. I can make sure to sort this, and I can eliminate everything except for Q3 here. Okay, so now we'll go back up to the top of the list. That changed our selection when we did that. So I'll go back and reselect CrowdStrike. Okay, and so again, we have CrowdStrike here. We can see the data. Open link document, which I did, has opened this document. And so now we can see the 4 occurrences of Q3 in CrowdStrike. And as I click on these occurrences, the chart will actually update to show those occurrences. So as I go through here, and I scroll down through this list of occurrences, I can actually see each of them. And so even though I already know there were 3 negative and 1 positive with an average of -2.67, by going into the actual simulations, I can actually see each of those occurrences, the exact numbers for each of them, which is very handy. Now, so on a daily basis, all you'd need to do is run the earnings template. And this is because you've already run the trade simulation and the multi-factor analysis, you just load those files in. So I'll just show you how to do that. So if you came into EdgeRater from scratch, brand new day, so I'll close these down, so don't have anything open at the moment. Go to templates, I'll run the earnings move template. Okay, so I've got the earnings move template open. Now all I have to do is go up here and open a previously run report. Okay, templates generate reports. You already saw where it places the reports, and so I'll just open the MF earnings report. Don't need to run it again. As I said before, that took 7 minutes to run, so you don't really want to run that again every day. I'll just place it below here, and I'll also make sure that I've already opened the trade simulation file as well. I did that with open link to document. I'll sort them, select the filter for Q3. So I'll go over here, I'll sort those, select the filter for Q3. And now I can go back up to this earnings moves report and click on any of these with upcoming earnings, and immediately again just see the overall summary, and then scroll into each of the events, each of the earnings, prior earnings in Q3, to see the moves there. So that's it. That's how I would set up this layout if you want to look at earnings during earnings season, and you want to see what earnings are coming up, and you want to know what happened previously during that same quarter for earnings, with a general summary of whether earnings are good to trade on the long side or the short side, so a statistical bias there, and then also to be able to go right into the actual earnings, those prior earnings, and take a look at them. And also at that point, you'll be able to, if you are interested in doing things with options and straddles, you'll be able to look at the information down here to see whether the move was outside of the expected move, and base your options strategy based on that. And if you want to know the exact performance of options, then you would go into also run your performance between dates template. I always run that with just the default settings. And so if we go back to now so that's selected Apple because I chose Apple for my performance between dates. But if we go back to Amber over here, and we go to an example in Amber that we were interested in, and now with the PBD template open, all we have to do is draw a line between this pre-earnings date here in Amber and the post earnings date. And then we have the option, the actual option performance of that over those 2 days. And so you can see that DTE1, so that's the option with 1 day to expiration, because earnings here, the day before earnings was a Thursday, and so you could actually get a 1 day to expiration option there, and it made 3,500%, so 35 times gain in the 0.1 delta of that option. But the 0.5 delta, if you were doing straddles, that's where you'd look for the 0.5 deltas, and you've got all the days to expiration there that you can investigate. The entire list is here with the gains of each of those deltas and expirations. So you can go back and analyze what would have happened to options for those earnings if you were interested in trading options today and you thought that today's move may be based on or work similarly to the way that it worked in the past. You can go and take a look at those. So that's that. I hope that was understandable, and have fun with that and let me know what you think. Thanks, bye.